Hello and welcome back. If I sound a bit louder than usual, it's because or lower, it's because I accidentally moved the my sound slider for me when I was doing some stuff. But we shall carry forwards to the end. Hopefully, another episode towards the end. Gloves. Thou hast my gratitude for lending courage to the Lopperids. Not disposed to rest of their laurels. Several of our guests have elected to accompany my countrymen to their stations. Some few may still come hither seeking counsel, and so shall I remain to aid them, as need be. If thou needest elsewhere, do not let me detain thee. As a matter of fact, I was hoping you might check on Alize. Last I saw, she was struggling to carry an enormous pile of boxes out the west gates. I could go myself, but we both know who she less like to scorn. Not to mention that much of my misfortune, I can think of several other things I ought to be doing until later. But yeah, this is going to be the first episode of being done with the leveling part. At least for Edgar. Considering how much time I probably have left to record today, I won't think I will be able to beat the game today. I'll finish it. Edgar, what are you doing out here? Now, I don't mind if you help with the boxes, but it's far more, it's from the most exciting of tasks. Are you sure? Well, I appreciate the assistance. We need to get there to Parkia. Time is short, of course, but they're full of organic specimens and samples, so try not to be too rough with them. Alphano should be waiting for us when we arrive. I'll see you there. The quest has spawned. After we deliver this box, I will go and do the quest. I don't know why the quest appeared only after we... whatever. Trying to figure out why some things pop and don't. It's going to give me a headache. You're helping with the crates, wonderful. You can put them with the others. You have my gratitude, but how did you come to be involved in this? Then I suppose I have Thancred to thank as well. If you're wondering why we're tasked with bringing these boxes to Apera to begin with, so was I. It turns out that this is a base of operations of sorts. Those with final say as to what is included in the ship's manifest can be found here. I just noticed I have a cut on my arm. Father included, I suspect. That should be everything. I carried all of that at once. Are you trying to injure yourself? Oh hush, they're lighter than they look, and not everyone has your delicate arms. I suppose we should let someone know that we're finished. Theopoldin is in the courtyard. We can report to him. Why don't you come along? you should get credit for your assistance, at least considering where we are. We might even learn something interesting. Yes, but before that, time for a little sidetrack. Should you choose to undertake this quest, you will receive no guidance or the duty list. You will need to read the text carefully and decipher the clues to determine your next course of action. Wayward Carbuncle. Excuse me, you there, you look capable. Could you find a missing carbuncle for me? Ordinary, a carbuncle will never be without. And, Arcanist. This one was found alone, roaming the wilds of Lenosia. And so I had it sent here for research purposes. I swear I took my eye off it for barely even a moment and it scampered off somewhere outside the hamlet. Seeing as it's far too dangerous out there for someone of my disposition, I was hoping you could look for it in my stead. And my thanks, I don't think it could have been made it out of the circle centric, but it still leaves a wide area to search. That crystal should make the job easier. It will react when the carbuncle is near, glowing more brightly the closer you are to your quarry. Once you secure the entity, please bring it back here to me. I wish you fortune in your hunt. I do believe I may know where this carbuncle is. And for those who remember, there is a reason for why I'm doing this. Which I might say after we get this done. Stupid leshies. Or Bracananon. You will not believe how many of these things I've had to kill to get their sap. Because it is, I can't remember if it was alchemy or weaving that I needed a whole bunch of their sap for. By God, it was annoying. Probably would have been less annoying if I had my ninja leveled up there so I can mug him, but these rocks are weird. I guess here's a good enough place to try. Okay, I believe it goes off depending on which section you are. So like this section, this section, this section, and this section. One of these sections. I don't remember. It has been a while since I've done this. There it is. Where is it? The code appears that you anxiously not letting its guard down. Perhaps it would let you pick it up if you soothed it first. The cobalt visibly calms, allowing you to cradle it in your arms. As always, I gotta feed my paranoia by checking the recording. Did you find the carbuncle? This crystal reacts to the presence of gem-based arcane entities. Said to have been found roaming alone in the wilds, this carbuncle looks oddly familiar. Thank goodness, or rather thank you. As I said, they found the poor thing alone in the countryside, wandering the mountains of northern Latnosia. I believe it should have vanished as soon as its master dismissed it, although it's possible the command was never given, in which case it should theoretically possess persistence of the ether that formed it is consumed, but for the reserve to last long enough for the entity to grow wild. An immensely talented arcanist must have summoned it, what I wouldn't give to meet someone that powerful. Researching this little creature net me some fascinating data indeed. Thank you again for retrieving it for me. Okay, for those who do not remember, back in ARR, in A Realm Reborn, Tataru tried to be an arcanist and summoned a carbuncle. That carbuncle subsequently ran off. That is the same carbuncle. So yeah, so my question is, what happened to the other carbuncle that was summoned during the Four Lords thing? What happened to that one? I thought that would be the same carbuncle, but by giving the description, that is the carbuncle that ran off when she was trying to learn how to be an arcanist. Therefore, that she summoned another carbuncle for that fight. So what happened to that one? Is there another one in the Ruby Sea as well? God, it never ends, does it? What can I do for you? We brought samples from Charlie and Hamlet, series of 110. The crates are by the entrance. Oh, thank you. I had expected one of my colleagues, but we are dreadfully short-handed. Just a moment. You are Fortrance's children, are you not? Alpha known Alize at your service. You're well acquainted with father, I take it. Quite. I've been friends with your parents since our days in the stadium. I remember when you were just yay high, waddling hither and thither. Clearly, it's been quite some time since we've met. Just good to see you again, wielding your father's Nothless, no less. You know my parents when they were young. What were they like? Pray spare no detail. I should like nothing more than to regale you. Alas, I am meant to be in charge here, and reams of paperwork want for submission. We can help with that in exchange for the sort of stories our parents would never willingly indulge, of course. Very well, then. There happen to be 3 sets of documents in need of delivery, so how about you take one? Right there. You will find a foreign representative waiting to collect these near the southernmost structure. I hope I haven't kept her waiting too long. Never mind, Alphino and Alice, I'm certain they will be back soon enough. So, the one over here. Are you not one of the Sons of Dawn? I thought you were meant to be working on the ether burner. The nature of this paperwork is not a particularly well-guarded secret, but due to how dull it is to read, will nevertheless remain largely unknown. Thwimpen's paperwork, I was beginning to worry we had misplaced his quill. I appreciate your help in seeing these documents to my hands at least. As for your other task, pray keep this between us, but I sincerely hope you, Scion, succeed. The Exodus is, without a doubt, the most monumental undertaking in the history of the form, so we must be circumspect in all respects. Risk is a privilege we cannot afford ourselves. At its heart, however, Charlene has ever been a nation of the curious. 'Twould be a tragedy indeed if we were the only ones to surmine your pursuit of truth. Quick and efficient, I dare say you have a talent for this work. The twins' paper only needed to deliver to elsewhere in the facility, so they should be returning any moment. We return with not a scrap of paperwork remaining on our persons, you will note. You both have my thanks and my apologies for sending you on an errand far below your ambitions. Why, even as a babe, you struggled out of your swaddling cloth, and that is quite enough of that, thank you. It was compromising stories of our parents that we asked to hear to reiterate. Of course, I've known your father for so long, I must have something. Well, as you know, part of why the Livier's name garnered such respect in Charlene is your family's storied history. You too can trace your ancestry directly to those who came aboard Nikref's Hope, and lineage few can claim. I've never thought much of it myself. It's not as though our forebears founded our nation, they were simply there when it happened. Nevertheless, it has traditionally been a point of pride. 'Tis why proclaimant renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason has ever been our family's creed. Until your grandfather's time, Archon Louis Saw, looked out not to his words but his deeds. He asserted in defiance of his peers that choosing to save the great and the small from the rising tide was the true mark of our founder's virtue. Perhaps it was his expertise, his knowledge of ancient prophecies in the fall of civilizations that led to him to conclude that to ensure conflict at every turn was to consign mankind to its doom. There will ever be conflict and calamity will follow. Thus, to ignore the plight of those who might conceivably save is not wisdom, it is indolence. Remember his words? Well, indeed, Archon Louis Sois lived by that personal creed and used every means at his disposal to bring succor to those in need, Charlene or no. No one loved and admired your grandfather more than his son. Yet, Forsant could not reconcile Louis Sois' deeds the philosophy of their forebears and his peers, a philosophy in which he believed so fervently, yet made a pariah of his father. Versant agonized over the contradiction for much of his life. God's father. A son may carry his father's blood, but his choices are his own to bear. It is not always thus. Gods know Versant's a cranky old goat, so I'm sure you butt heads often enough. Yet even so, you must know that you are constantly in his thoughts every moment of every day, and that is not an exaggeration in the slightest. You've just seen him when you were born. Barely recognizable he was, with a kind of dumbfounded grin I've not seen since he first took a fancy to your mother. He was practically skipping when he told me the news. Take my word for it, he loves you to an embarrassing degree. But he is also frustratingly single-minded. Once he decides that a given action is for the best, he will stay the course no matter who or what opposes him. A profoundly annoying habit when you're on the other end of it, as I'm sure you will agree. I'll say, thank you for your insight. When next we meet our parents, I shall mention that we spoke. Try not to get me into too much trouble now. I need the form on my side. Speaking of which, I ought to be getting back to work. I have to make sure these specimens you brought me make it to their proper place, or the cranky old goat will have my hide. We can speak again later. Gloves. Hail, you three. Graha, surely Kokul hasn't driven you out of his forge already. For better or for worse, no. However, he has sent me a task that requires more than my single pair of hands, and here you are. I could use at least one of you, but I wouldn't object to more. Unfortunately, Alice and I have prior commitments, and we have delayed too long as it is. What about you, Edgar? Can you spare the time? Perfect. This shouldn't take long. Goodbye. Well, we still have a gun, so... And the event that our, and I quote, promised heap of adamanting falls right out of the bloody sky and into my lap, Master Kokol wishes to be ready to put the proverbial hammer to anvil at a moment's notice. Fabricate these parts, however, we need the flames in Kokol's forge to burn hotter. He sent me to increase the amount of ether being funneled to his furnace. The flow of fire aspect of ether in Labyrinthos is regulated by an elemental reactor south of here, to which I have borrowed the key. The adjustments require 2 people to carry out safely, but I can explain the process when we arrive. This is where we part then. We'll see you in Charlie and Hamlet once the animatite arrives, if not before. This way then. The rector is housed within this facility. I'll be the one to go inside and adjust the fire ether outputs. When I do, a rather large amount of water aspect ether will issue from the vent at the top. I expect this to attract at least a few elementals, which we would both rather not be drawn into the reactor itself. Trust me. Can I ask that you put down at least the draw too near? They'll pose you little trouble, I'm sure. Wait here if you would. Everything goes smoothly out here. I thought as much. No major complications to speak of inside either. And the water ether appears to be venting properly. I expect Coco will have seen a difference in his forge flames by the time I return. Since I have you, there was another matter I thought to discuss with you. Nothing terribly important, merely something I've been considering. Part of this I shared with everyone, yet you and only you have been to Elpis. As we have established, refined adamantine is a product of Alleg of the Empire's Twilight Years. In fact, it was a material which saw much use in the part of Alleg's efforts to extend beyond the bounds of this world, Dalmud, of course, being the most prominent. Of those who would push forward, expand Alleg's empire to compass the heavens and the stars above, perhaps the greatest was its infamous technologist, Amon. I believe he had his own reasons. There is no evidence to suggest that he retained memories of his former life. He only joined Ascians once the Empire was all but dust, as you know. If not his memory, though, what drove him to pursue the idea with such fervor? And this seems far-fetched, but what if souls like minds have a personality, so to speak, a natural disposition towards what they are inclined? We knew what relative certainty that it was the gross decadence and inexorable decline of Alleg that moved Amon to resurrect Emperor Zonde. The Empire's people spoke lightly of death and destruction, experimenting on those they deemed beneath them to fill the emptiness in their hearts. In facilitating Zonde's return, Amon provided those lingering souls with the means to free themselves from the mire of their own indolence. Or would have not, had not Zonde been convinced by his own death that life itself was meaningless. Amon's desire for his countrymen to conquer the heavens could only be a means to the same end, to install the people with new purpose. Like Hermes before him, Amon was appalled by how those around him lived, but could never bring himself to believe that those lives were devoid of meaning. And both of them sought that meaning, that hope in the distant stars. Such is my theory, anyway. Ultimately, it is the consequences of their action which matter. Their motives are of no moment, and yet to reach those stars on wings of adamantite, to travel to the ends of creation and beyond, the promise of hope everlasting, that much I do understand. But enough musing for now. Why don't we see how Kukul is getting on? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think the chess piece that Edgar has, regardless of what class you are, has a gun on it. So I think if you're a machinist, you have 2 guns. At least I think. I don't remember all that well, since I haven't seen this armor since the first month I was playing. Well, I can feel those flames ablazing from here. Glad you found someone capable, Graha, but there's not much left for you lot to do, unless you can conjure up that refinement any faster. Hat. I don't trust you to deliver on your promise. I do trust you to deliver on your promise. I only do, but I hate waiting. I want that animation, and I want it now. How about pizza instead? We are sure your impatience, I assure you. Is there truly nothing else we can assist with you in the meantime? I wish this thing about unbearable. Pity the form frowns on recreational explosions. Well, so long as they can't prove it was premeditated, get you gone, I've mistakes to make. In that case, I suppose I should go and return the key to the reactor. I'll have one more look to make sure that nothing has gone wrong, unintentionally or otherwise. I'm certain there are better uses of for your time, however, I will join you in Charlie and Hamlet anon. Yeah, I rarely do stuff with adamantite. I usually do try to get my hands on orichalcum instead. I want me be holy ore! Why? Because I was deprived of it at a young age. I want it more. Now I just want to play Dragon Quest IX again. Not Dragon. Oh yeah, it would be Dragon Quest. My brain is not going so well. Yeah, Dragon Quest IX. I was gonna say Dragon Age 9. Oh, it's Dragon Quest 9. Because that one's a fun game. Well, that's on the DS. And finding another copy of it would... I don't think I would want to dive into my money to get it. If you wait here, your companions are bound to turn up sooner or later. And again, another game which I really want to try out is Dragon Quest X, but currently that's only in Japan. Even though it was an MMO, but now they have it on the Switch, the story without the MMO bits. But from what I saw, I think it can only be like one race, which kind of makes me feel sad.
I take it.
We finished what we could. Delivered supplies, tracked down escaped animals, trivial tasks as they may be.
That's enough, don't you think? If there was anything more important still undone, that would be a problem in itself.
Just checking the recording real quick.
The vessel is essentially ready for departure. All that remains is to load the final batch of supplies and see everyone on board. Once we've readied the ether burner, that is.
Ah, had a feeling we might find you all here.
Our consultations with the Loperates, too, have run their course. Pleased I am to say that our researchers' concerns have, for the most part, been allayed, though some insist on making adjustments to the very end. For their part, Livingway and her peers have graciously offered to stay and keep the people company, lest any lingering queries go unanswered.
All that remains is to wait for the refined adamantite.
Alphino, are you there? It's me, Kryl. Your special delivery has arrived. Round up everyone and come to the harbor at once.
Speak of the devil. Let us go at once.
Forgive the intrusion, Master Fortuner. I bring urgent news. A great commotion has broken out in Scholar's Harbor. Your presence is requested with all speed.
Loading, loading, loading.
Now, where might this delivery be? Oh.
I'm sure it's very important, but we cannot accept these without the proper permits.
By the 12! Surely, these can't all be.
Bleeding hellfire! They're bringing them by sea and by air. All these folks in these crates.
And more on the way. Got your adamantite right here. A bigger haul than any of these sorry bastards brought, and that's no lie.
Yes, because you were charged with seeing the shipments from Gridania and Uldar here, along with your own. Give credit where credit is due.
Sounds like the sorry whinging of a sore loser. An hypocrite to boot. Ain't no way a scrawny whelp like you took a dozen steps inside a Dalaman shard.
I'll have you know I went all the way to the entrance. I played a vital role in keeping a lookout whilst our expeditionary forces secured the adamantite.
I have a feeling that these two could settle the differences in a child's card game.
Left you outside so you wouldn't get anyone killed, did they? Well then, credit where credit's due, you did a right fine job sitting on your ass.
Take that back.
Make me.
I will not stoop to your level.
My, what a grand welcome party.
Hancock and Saraban.
We come bearing relics both sacred and elegant, as well as a few other gifts that may be of help, to be presented with best wishes from the Eastern Alliance.
I myself have come with a sacred relic of Rayson Temple. 'Twas passing fortunate that Senri's dango craving brought us to Kugane. We arrived precisely as Hancock was making his arrangements. Upon learning of your need, we made haste back to Hell's Lid, with our Dango, never fear, and consulted with the other auspices. All consented to the lending of Tenzin's legendary Phoenix Blade for this noble cause. Suzaku and Seiryu were nevertheless worried that it might be lost in transit, however, and insisted upon accompanying me to Onokoro, where I had intended to entrust it to our Confederate allies. I thought instead to give it over to Hancock when we chanced to cross paths yet again. But alas, Seiryu remained ill at ease, and ordered me see the blade into your hands personally, or die trying.
We did, of course, need quite the impressive vessel to get it all here in time.
That is all wonderful to hear, but what of the extraordinary cost? I shudder to think of the ransom we must pay for such a bounty.
Fret not for your coin purse, young Alphino. Lord Lolorito looks ever towards the profits of the future, and thus the East Aldenar Trading Company went to some lengths to reduce the financial liability. And since the Scions funded the entire venture, not a gill need be rendered up in compensation. Everything is already yours.
We funded the venture? When?
Don't let the name fool you. This coin keeper knows a thing or two about spending. When it comes to capital investiture, a sprinkling of gil here and there will not do. You need enough savings to make waves when it really counts, which is why frugality is paramount. We also had the benefit of a generous patron. Generous being rather an understatement. She has supported us from the shadows since the very founding of the Scions. We even had coffers to fill.
Mother!
Chameleons.
I remain, of course, an entirely neutral party. I simply thought our family's coffers were needlessly full. We can hardly take them with us on your teeny-tiny toy boat, now can we? And would be a shame to leave all that hard-earned wealth unspent. Waste not.
However did you manage so much in so short a time, then? We expected word to reach only a fraction of our allies.
Did I not tell you I have my ways?
Erenville, you were involved too.
I received a letter from Cryo after we parted ways in Labyrinthos. She explained what the Scions were trying to accomplish, and why you might soon require the services of the Gleaners, spread across the world as we are. I pray you do not interpret this as a betrayal of Charlotte. I accept that the Forum's aim in pushing us to our limits was to preserve what knowledge we have, and I bear you no ill will for it. Yet, in collecting that knowledge, what I came to appreciate most about our star is that there remains so much we do not know. That is why I chose to help the Scions, to combat the obliteration of those countless, undiscovered wonders. I held no illusions that they would be less demanding taskmasters. Though, rest assured, if I had, I would have been sorely disappointed. To make a long story short, the whole of the guild ship cooperated to ensure your call was heard far and wide.
What's this about a ship that can fly to the moon? And why didn't you mention it sooner? The one time you don't beg my aid, your problem's a bloody ship that can fly to the moon. Sid! You brought the team!
Of course. Garland Ironworks' finest. You need only point us towards my new favorite ship.
As you like us not suspect, we've also brought adamantite from Mordona's Dalamud Shard. I admit to some consternation upon first receiving Qual's message. So few scions remain at the Rising Stones now. Far too few for such an expedition. However, the Gleaners were able to secure us reinforcements. Idleshire's treasure hunters, not least among them.
Fascinating as all this is, I fail to see how it explains your presence here. Does Razat Khan not have more pressing concerns?
We do. Yet averting the final days would be the most expedient solution. That, and I am indebted to you. Though they chose to take their leave of Thavnair, those you saved in Galimund remain my people. My gratitude is beyond words. 'Tis appropriate that I aid you in kind. If in the doing we bring salvation to others of this star, so much the better. You will recall that I spoke of my father, Midgard Sommer, and his journey across the great expanse. As he traveled betwixt the stars, his resplendent scales drank of the ether in those nigh empty surrounds, and imparted to him the strength to persevere. Thinking they might further your cause, I called out to my kin for consent. Ajdaya's answer was silence, as ever. Tiamat and Chrisvelgre, however, responded favorably to the suggestion. My sire, too, gave his assent. Thus have I brought you his own worm scales. Fit them to your purpose, and seek a worthier fate for us all.
You'd be hard-pressed to find someone else so familiar with the unique properties of dragon scales. So I invited myself in.
Look at me, this is so unbelievable. I've gone right back round to believing it again.
Forget a 6% gain in efficiency. With all these goodies, we could get 7, no, 10, no, 14 bleeding percent.
Think of how far we could go! What we could do with that much power! What we could blow up!
If Kokol is duly convinced, then it must be true. In which case, the Scion's end of the bargain has been fulfilled. Would you not agree?
Yes, Father?
I know not what you seek of Hydaelyn, nor for what purpose you would take command of our ship. Yet this much is certain. To do so will be to dictate the fate of this star and the lives upon it. The lives of each and every creature, in their magnitude and their fragility. Do you understand? And are you prepared?
We have seen and we have felt how much each life shapes this world. And so we are determined to abandon none. We understand what is at stake, and we are prepared to bear this burden.
Then I will bear it with you. I beg you, share your struggles with me. As family. You grasped my fingers with such tiny hands the day you were born. I thought my heart might burst. It was love and happiness beyond expression. Overwhelming. And a conviction so powerful that I trembled with something close to rage. I had heard the final days foretold. I swore to myself then and there that I would not let them steal your futures. The great Exodus would succeed. Must succeed. No sacrifice or sin was worse than the alternative. If anything gave me pause, 'twas mine own father. The Archon Louisoix openly decried Charlene's policies. A perspective which I regarded with increasing disdain as I grew older. Yet even as part of me thought him a fool. Perhaps I also hoped that he, of all people, would devise a brilliant means to save my children. A naive hope, but stubborn enough that I could never bring myself to keep you apart. No, that was his doing. When he perished at Cartano, as we pulled that twisted slab of Dalamud from the sea. I remembered the warmth of your newborn touch. Chastened, I vowed never again to suffer any interference in my mission to protect you. No matter that you yourselves wished otherwise. Detest me, fight me tooth and nail, I would suffer it, and more, and be satisfied so long as I could force you onto the ship. I was wrong. You two have grown so much stronger and so much wiser than I dared dream.
I got the guy in the background still looks disapprovingly at this.
You have earned the right to walk your own path, and already begun to do so.
Good. Because there are things we care about, and people we love, and none of them is replaceable. Not a one.
It cannot have been an easy journey for you to have come so far.
We shall be glad to acquaint you with the finer details someday, once this danger has passed. All that we have seen and heard, that we have felt and learned in our travels. Ours is not a kind world, but it is beautiful. Always.
Oh no. Are you quite sure that's wise? After all, someone turns pale and flees the room when he sees so much as an envelope containing word of your adventures. Whatever will happen if he learns what you were really up to?
Amelians. Though I have wronged my children most gravely, I owe you an apology as well. I assumed that it was the Scion's influence that made them so keen to charge headlong into danger. Yours, in particular. I see now that said influence instead brought them together with the many fine people gathered here today. In which case, I hope you continue to guide them.
If we've finished loitering about the harbor, might I suggest we put our plans into motion?
People are beginning to look confused.
Perhaps you can spare a few words ere they resume the tedious lugging of cargo. You've no small number of friends and admirers here after all.
Your assistance is appreciated. Now, in an orderly fashion, if you please.
I don't know if you could hear that, but I had a Pandora. It was just trying to wanting it, but also not wanting to get into the window. We finally managed to clear the harbor, which means the rest is the engineer's capable hands. Meanwhile, Father has issued us an invitation. As we agreed, he will reveal the means by which Hydaelyn may be contacted. We are to meet him at Paria when we're ready. Given the vital knowledge she holds, I suggest we leave without delay. It transpires, however, that the aforementioned method for speaking with her is not without risk. I'm curious to hear what those might entail, but regardless, be warned. Most of those who arrived with the Animantite have offered to stay and see any remaining tasks that needs doing. The Forum has already asked for my assistance in overseeing the process, so you needn't worry about a thing. Thank you, Tatara. We're off to Apera then. Gotta look for the flying goldfish. Edgar, I have already shown the others inside. You will want to speak with Carleen. She has the key to the lift and can send you down with me. Cabbage. From here we proceed to the heart of Levelin and his most closely guarded secret, the museum. It marks the beginning and the end of our efforts, whence we deliver to seek audience with the star, and whence we will embark on our journey to the heavens. This way, if you please. And sadly, we don't have a quest, which I really wanted to have us unlocked. Sadly, I didn't have it unlocked in time because I don't have the patience to wait in queues for stuff that I have done on my main, and would have only delayed the ending of this to the probably beyond the end. So tiny. I bid you welcome to Thamazin. Direct your attention towards its center to behold the ark over which we have long labored. As you can see, it was designed as a medium-sized craft. The better to reduce fuel consumption, miniaturizing magics has been applied to its interior to ensure that the thrust to weight ratio does not place too great a limitation on its freight capacity. Ether burner, as you know, has been removed for further modification, but we shall reattach it soon enough. I have received word that Coco has and several of your allies are working on it with intense fervor. They are sure to see it done. 'Twas by their expense that many a prior disaster was averted. If anything, I fear they will not afford us much time for speaking with Hydaelyn ere they finish. Point taken, let us move on. I must warn you again, however, that even with the benefit of our device, to treat with her is not a simple feat. Yes, but can you give Edgar a hat now? Hey, Edgar and hat. I have done what I can to impress upon you the gravity of what lies ahead. Are you prepared? Give us hat. Oh, Edgar has a knife patch now! Oh dear, this ensemble gives me the feeling of a... Commissar Edgar is ready for combat! He's got his pistol, and he's got his hat ready. Eh? Tiny Lalafell's like, what the fuck is that? Yeah, that'll be the end of this episode. And I'll see you all in the next.